So people are learning more by consciously and subconsciously by watching you, your mannerisms, the way you operate, your ethics, the way you handle situations, the way you communicate. And that's leadership. Content, the way you do, the way you teach, but third of all is who you are. Nobody ever complained about too many good leaders.
Yeah.
And so I think that whether it's your family or your business or your community or the nation or your profession, is that the world needs great leaders.
Teachers are leaders and leaders are teachers. And I believe today the world really needs teachers to step up and become leaders. Can you please elaborate on that?
Well, yeah, thank you. And as you know, Suren, that's what you and I have partnered on and we've worked on for years together, is to find great teachers who lead and leaders who will teach. Why do I say that? I say this because if you are, let's start with, if you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're not a trainer, okay, but you're a business owner, or you're a parent, or whoever you are. Well, if you're watching this, you're a leader. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching. Okay, so that's right. So we know that. So if you're a leader, which you are, then there's a responsibility to be able to teach what you learn to other people. I was very inspired many years ago by a fellow by the name of Po Chung, who was the original founder of DHL International. He started DHL with eight people on his team in Hong Kong. Years later, sold it with over 100,000 employees to Deutsche Post. And we spent a good amount of time together for a while. And he said it this way, and I'll say it, quote him as best I can. He said, as a leader, particularly in business, it is your societal responsibility to teach what you've learned over the years to other people, and that's how we improve our society. Otherwise, we never move ahead. Everybody keep making the same mistakes again and again and again. We don't go anywhere. But as a leader, your job is to take what you've learned, the good, the bad, and the ugly, whatever it is, and teach to the next generation so they have an advantage moving forward. Then our society moves forward. The standard of living for everybody gets better. Years ago, and still today, I was inspired by the late Dr. Buckminster Fuller. Bucky Fuller, we call him, by his name. I have a thing on the wall right here. It says, one of his quotes, it says, the more people I serve, the more effective I become. The more people I serve, the more effective I become. And that's been my operating principle. And as a leader, that's your job. So another person you may have heard of, Michael Gerber, great author. He wrote The E-Myth. In one of his recent books, he says, business is like a school, because every day you're getting lessons every day, lessons every day, lessons every day. And I agree with that. So my perspective on that, if business is a school, who's the teacher? And that's you. That's you. Because somehow or other, you got elected or put into a position, or because you have a certain skill or a certain ability to communicate, you're a leader. Now, if you want to really build a great team, you got to teach them. Teach them what? Teach them how to be on a team. Teach them how to sell. Teach them how to manage their little voices. Teach them how to cooperate. Why do you need to teach them that? Because where else would they learn it? In school, they're taught that if they cooperate, they're cheating. Okay? So as a business owner, you know they got to cooperate or your business is going to fail. So who's going to teach them that? You think they're going to learn that on their own? Of course not. So that's just one example, but all the lessons and over the 25 years we've worked with organizations all over the world, small solopreneurs up to Fortune 50 companies, every time we have instilled that idea of the leaders must learn to teach, and we teach them how to teach, exponential growth in sales, in income, team development, market share. So that's a big piece. Now the flip side is that teachers, some people that are teachers, must also be leader. You are a leader by default. The minute you start to teach somebody, you're now leading somebody someplace. And most people, and most trainers, and I know we've had this frustration. Yeah. Most trainers, it's about energy and it's about making it fun, and here's some really good data. But that's good. Those are nice tools. but that's not the point. I was very blessed a couple of months ago, last year, to visit a Buddhist temple, one of the largest in the world in Thailand. And the abbot monk was just an amazing human being, and he wrote a book called Train the Trainers, actually. And he said something, and we shared about teaching people to teach, and he said something very powerful. He said it's three things as a trainer, as a teacher. Number one is your content. You got to give them, if you're going to teach something, you got to give something that's relevant, that can help people's lives. He says, but that's not the most important. Second most important is the way you teach it, how you teach. These are his words, right? Which is what I've been talking about for years, right? And the way you teach, the way you get people to work together, the way you get them to think, the way you pull information out of them rather than jamming information into them, causing them to be brilliant. But he said the third thing is the content, the way you teach, but third of all is who you are. It's who you are. Because the minute you go to the front of a room, you go on a video, you go on a Zoom call or whatever it is, when you begin to teach, you are now a model. You are a role model. So people are learning more by consciously and subconsciously by watching you, your mannerisms, the way you operate, your ethics, the way you handle situations, the way you communicate. And that's leadership. And a lot of trainers miss that whole piece. You know, they go up on stage and they're going to turn it on, and here we are. But as you know me, and you know Kiyosaki pretty well, this is no different. This is no, you see me at home. It is no different here than it is on stage or in front of a room, because it's who we are. And if trainers can understand that that teachers must be leaders. So when we teach people to be trainers, I tell people it's less about training, it's about teaching you how to lead. Because I believe, particularly in these times, if you haven't seen the evidence, you're not looking very closely, is that we need leaders. We need more good leaders. Great John Maxwell, I talked to him, a couple years back, and I said, and he talks about your job as a leader is to create more leaders. And I said, but John, but if you create too many leaders in your organization, you'll have too many chiefs and not enough followers, right? And he laughed at me, he goes, Blair, nobody ever complained about too many good leaders. They complain about too many bad leaders.
Fine.
And so I think that whether it's your family or your business or your community or the nation or your profession, is that the world needs great leaders. And I think that that trainers take on a bigger responsibility than they think. A lot of people in the training business are opportunists, I believe. They see that the money that can be made and all of that stuff, and that's good, and they should see that. But I think that the role, the responsibility is there, and the opportunity to really help and serve so many people is right there. The more people I serve, the more effective I can become. That's why, in this stage of my life and my career, my commitment is to creating more teachers. I mean, we need more teacher leaders out there that can, in every discipline, to be able to really give people guidance in a direction that not only gives them a tool or a skill, but it helps change their lives.
Thank you, Blair, because we have to thank you. You come every year to India, do a program called Train the Trainer, where you really create teachers who have to become leaders. And as you said, we love you for one thing, because the authenticity you bring to the stage, the heart you put into what you do. And because we do intensive trainings from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., but you're there till everyone gets it. And it is always about the audience. That one message from you is like brilliant. Today, Raju Talreja, Siddharth Rajshekar, Karan Asija, all the trainers we have totally modeled you. And they exactly do, because for them it's all heart. And I want to really thank you for doing that. Because you have made a big change to India by creating such trainers. Thank you so much for that.
Very kind, thank you. But here's one thing I do know. Like I said before, it does not happen in isolation. There has to be a context or an environment that allows the flower to grow. You can have the most beautiful seed. You can have the most beautiful plant sitting in a seed, put it in the ground, and put it in parched desert soil, and it will never grow. But if you put it in rich potted soil, which is what you create, is you create that environment, you create that context where it can nurture and grow, and these guys can become great teachers and leaders, and that's why you have such an influx and such success.